Welcome to this episode of the Smart Leader Sell podcast. I'm Jess, sales coach and leadership expert, and I'm really excited. I'm excited for a couple of reasons about the podcast episode today. So one, we're talking about something that is really important to me, really exciting for me, which is what can you actually charge a premium price for? Because, hey, in the business space, certainly in the online entrepreneurship space, apparently you can charge a premium price for everything, but is that really true? And if it is, how can you make your definitions of what your premium products and services should look like? And then the second thing is because over the weekend, I bought a new phone. Woo-woo. So say hello, Galaxy S9. Welcome to my life. Also, the great thing about Galaxy S9 is that it creates its own emojis. So I have spent my weekend, I'm not going to lie, creating 52 emojis of myself. Not entirely sure why I needed 52, but I was massively entertained by all of those. So if you haven't got Galaxy S9 yet and your phone is coming up for upgrade, I can highly recommend it based on the quality of its emojis. I haven't actually explored any of its other features yet. Can't really use the keyboard that well because it hasn't learned all of my favorite words yet. Also want to do a quick shout out to Samsung. At no point have I ever wanted to write ducking in a sentence. Just going to throw that out there as some feedback for Samsung. So if anyone from Samsung is listening, autocorrect, that is not the word that I want to go for. So we are here. It is a Monday. It's a happy Monday. Hopefully you are listening to this as you're walking your dog, going for your weekly Monday run, basically anything that's going to involve getting out into the sunshine or, commuting, doing your thing on this sunny day. It is 24 degrees here, according to my new phone. I'm not entirely sure whether that's entirely correct or whether it's just because I have to have all of the windows shut when I'm recording the podcast so the noise doesn't get in. But hey ho, let's roll with it. It's pretty sunny in the UK for a change. And there are a couple of things that this episode has got me really excited about, really riled up about, and that I want to share with you guys so that you can go forward this week and be starting to sell those premium offers, starting to craft them in a way that works for you and actually identify how you can tell if something's going to be a premium offer or not. So first things first, if you haven't yet grabbed a 90-day planner, so one of the Smart Leader Sell 90-day planners from the website, make sure you head over there and do that. We're about to head into a new quarter. And if you haven't had a solid sales plan for the last 90 days and have been feeling the effects, i.e. you haven't got the clients that you wanted, you haven't been generating the revenue you wanted, you haven't seen the inquiry levels that you want, you definitely need a planner to go ahead to make that an easier start to the third quarter of the year. As we all know, the third quarter of the year can be more challenging than any other quarter because we're coming up to summer. We're coming up to traditionally the sales period of the year where everyone is going on holiday, everyone's taking time off to look after their children, look after their families. And so that can make this quarter a lot tougher than any other quarter when it comes to selling. However, for those of you who are there when opportunity knocks, who are ready to create opportunities for themselves, who are ready to be consistent, take action and get going, there is a ton of money to be made in quarter three because all your competitors will be out there. They'll be doing lots and lots of busy work. They'll be taking lots and lots of time off and they won't be focusing on sales to the degree that you will be if you have the planner. So if you haven't gone and grabbed that yet, make sure you do. Make sure you use it consistently. And if you get any questions, queries about it, make sure that you hit me up with an email and I can walk you through exactly how it works. So let's dive in to today's podcast episode because premium products, premium services are where I kind of cut my teeth in the sales world. And actually, I love it as a business model when people start with premium products and services and move outwards. So what I'm talking about is they start with one-to-one coaching or done-for-you service or, high level premium products. And then they move outwards as their audience starts to grow and they start to go into group programs. They start to go into selling ebooks, membership sites, those kinds of things that are lower ticket and require a bigger audience to make sure that you're consistently making revenue you want to make. So as I was driving along in my car on Saturday morning to pick up my new phone, I was driving along and I was waiting in a queue for our local car park. So I live in Southampton in the UK. We have a big shopping centre there called West Quay. And it has, I think, 3 car parks. I've only actually ever used 2 of them, and they are the basis for today's podcast. So want to talk to you about the most interesting topic in the world, which is parking your vehicle. Woo! Kind of. Not entirely just that. We're not going to talk about my bad parking skills, but I digress. So driving along, I'm sat in the queue for the car parks nearest to the shopping centre. And as I'm sat there bopping along to Radio 1, you know, they play good music. I like it. I like a bit of Greg James, like a bit of Nick Grimshaw, depending what time of day it is. Sat there bopping along, and I kind of was thinking about where I wanted to park based on what I wanted to do that day. So one of the things that you may not know about me is that sometimes I'm incredibly lazy. I say you might not know that about me. I'm guessing everyone really knows that about me. But some days I'm incredibly lazy. I don't necessarily want to have to walk the extra 200 foot that it would require from the main shopping centre with all of my bags versus the kind of 50 foot that I'd have to walk if I parked in the what they call the podium car park, which is actually inside the shopping centre. And I was kind of thinking about how lazy I was feeling that day, and did I really want to park inside the shopping centre, or did I want to park in the car park that's right next to it? And it got me thinking about car park prices, because as I was weighing this up mentally in my head, I'm going to have to walk, 150 steps versus 25, might be carrying a lot of bags. Equally though, I might not stay that long. You know, I wasn't planning on being in town for a huge amount of time. I was just nipping in to grab a phone and leave. And so I was thinking, well, you know, if I'm not going to be there that long, is it really worth the extra cost? Because check this. In our local car park, if you park inside the shopping centre itself, you pay an extra 50 pence per hour. Okay. Now, I know, right? 50p is not going to break the bank. However, it was really interesting to me that the only difference between this 50 pence charge was the amount of convenience that was being given. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, is when you are creating a premium offer, does it need to be something that is all bells, all whistles, glamorous, you know, photo shoots in Paris and champagne out of your ears? Or can you charge a premium amount for something that's super, super simple that just happens to outrank its competitors? So let's dive into this, because this is really, really interesting to me as I started thinking about it. And so in the usual way that I do, I kind of was like, right, sat at traffic lights, totally stationary in my vehicle. And I pulled up, I have Bluetooth on my phone, so nobody needs to worry about me texting and driving. But I have Bluetooth on my phone. I pulled up the Google Voice thing and I said, you know, Google, put in Keep podcast episode about car parks. Then an hour later, I changed my phone, lost that, and was thinking to myself, oh crap, now I'm going to have to go and buy Post-it notes so I can make sure I remember this. But I'm sat there in the traffic and I'm thinking about this 50p surcharge that they put on. So basically, if you park inside the shopping centre itself, instead of being £2 an hour, it costs you £2.50 an hour. And it got me to thinking, and I was thinking about this so much that after I'd actually gone and got my phone, I drove round to all of the local car parks. Yes, okay, I don't have a life. It's it's one of those things that has been established. So I drove around to the local car parks and I went into the podium one, which is the one inside, and it was definitely £2.50 for, I think, the first 2 hours. And then every hour after that was an extra 50 pence on the car park that is just outside. Okay, so it's literally another multi-story car park, but you have to walk across a little bridge. And like I said, it's about 100 steps to get into the shopping centre. So if I park in the multi-story just outside, then it's only £2 for the first 2 hours. And then again, it's 50p less. And then as I was kind of thinking about this, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I drove to the car parks on the outskirts where you have to walk a lot further. Sometimes you even have to walk upstairs. I know, this is ridiculous. You actually pay a considerable amount less. So instead of paying, you know, £2 even for 2 hours, you're paying £1.20, you know, which is 80 pence less than the multi-story, and actually an awful lot less. So £1.30 less than parking inside the centre. Now, on a nice sunny day, I don't really care about the walk. You know, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, cool. It's sunny. It's a nice day. I probably won't have that many bags if I'm just getting my phone and a coffee. I can happily pay the £1.20. I can walk into the shopping centre, you know, count it as my calories for the day, all good. On a day, however, that it's absolutely hoofing it down with rain, and I'm thinking there is absolutely no way I want to go outside, let alone try and figure out how I'm going to, organize my bags and my umbrella, and the fact that my hair, as soon as rain goes anywhere near it, doesn't even have to touch it. It just frizzes up like some kind of poodle. So how am I going to navigate this? The £1.30 saving doesn't actually make a difference to me. Okay. And why is that? Well, quite simply, it's about convenience. And when we're talking about premium products and premium services, it gets very easy to get caught up in this. What's the first class lifestyle? I see lots and lots of people making money off of this. What's the first class lifestyle? Let's see you touting your photos of you flying business class or first class across the world. Or let's see you at the top of the Eiffel Tower having a photo with a zillion other tourists and looking ridiculously pretty, and hoping that it's a sunny day, because sometimes the weather in Paris is not great, or other things that we can see as premium. So lots and lots of luxury lifestyle shots, champagne everywhere. I don't know, sitting outside your house with about 10 Lamborghinis in front of it, those kinds of things. And the reality is that those kinds of things don't really make a premium product or service premium. The reality is that the first ideal, if you like, behind creating a premium product or premium service is convenience. Is the product or is the service that you're offering quicker, easier, nearer, anything like that that's basically going to be easier for you and more convenient for you than using a competitor's offer. All right? Now, we don't always think about this, but I want to just throw this out here. One of the things and one of the ways that I see this in my business is that I'm not unintelligent, okay? It wouldn't take me that long to work out how to use GarageBand or how to use Audacity or whatever the new things are on the block when it comes to podcast editing, and actually edit my own podcast. However, the reality is that I'm somebody who preaches work smarter, not harder, hire the experts. Also, I don't really want to add anything else to my plate that's going to take me away from the core activities of my business, sales and client delivery. So I pass that over because it's convenient for me. Okay. And people like Scott who produces my podcast, and the wonderful Jessie, who is the guy who sits there and edits every single show painstakingly. They both deserve huge, huge thanks for being the behind the scenes people to the podcast. They are the people who are sat there really editing it, making the show notes, doing all that kind of stuff to make my life easier. And I pay a premium for that service because it makes my life easier. It takes a few hours out of my week that I wouldn't otherwise have. And I'm happy to do that. Okay. And this is the thing. So think about your services, think about your products. Do they make somebody's life easier? Do they help them achieve something quicker? Are they closer than your nearest competitor? Start thinking about these kinds of things, because actually they are really, really relevant to premium offers. When we look at things like photo shoots, when we look at things like the branding, those are all how it's marketed. That's about how you can market something as being a premium product. When we're actually looking at creating one, like with the car parks, I don't park in the closer car park and expect a red carpet every time I open my car door. Albeit this would be amazing. I kind of feel like I should contact the local council and just suggest this, like throw it out there. VIP parking service. I don't think they're going to go for it, but whatever. However, I pay the premium because it's convenient. It's easy. That's what you want to look at. That's one of the first things that you want to look at when you're looking at creating a premium product or a premium service. Is it convenient for people? Okay. The second thing is experience. Now, this is a really interesting one. And again, it comes down to how much work have you really put in to this offer? How often have you tested it? How great results have you got? Have you got testimonials? Have you got people who've been super successful, case studies, that kind of thing? Because when we're talking about premium offer, I don't know about you, but experience counts. when it comes to me making a purchase. So I always think about this in terms of sending my car for a service. So as many of you might know, I have a Suzuki Alto. No, I don't anymore. Actually, I have a Suzuki Swift. It's a relatively new purchase. The car is about 3 months old. And I bought it when my Suzuki Alto gave up the ghost. It died after about 10 years of working, and it was a very sad moment for me. But every single year, I go to the Suzuki dealership and I get my car MOT'd and serviced and all the other stuff in between by the approved Suzuki dealer that I bought it from. And people often say to me, yeah, but Jess, if you went to Bob down the road, he could do it for you. And instead of paying £59 for your MOT, you'd pay £25. And I always think, yeah, I could do that. I could. However, I actually quite like paying my £59 for my MOT, and I actually quite like paying my 120 quid or whatever it is for the service, not because I like throwing away perfectly good money, but because of the experience that I know the people who are dealing with my car will have. They are specialists in dealing with Suzuki vehicles. That means if there is something weird and wonderful with it, Bob down the street probably wouldn't have seen the problem. And he won't necessarily know how to fix the Suzuki version of that problem. He won't have access to the parts immediately. He won't have access to the technology teams, the support teams that the actual dealership will. There are lots of things that I will pay a premium for because of the experience that these mechanics have, specifically with my car. Let's think about this on another scale for medical stuff, okay? If you're going to have laser eye surgery, you want somebody who's actually done it a million times before, who is an old hand, who's got proven case studies of people who kept their eyesight, who, walked out of there with 20/20 vision. You don't necessarily want to go to Bob in the back street who's going to take a fork to your eye and kind of poke around for a little bit and hope that it continues to work afterwards. So when you're creating a premium product or a premium service, think about experience. What experience are you bringing to the table? Have you run beta rounds before? Have you got testimonials? Have you got great client case studies? Have you got just honestly sheer more of a vast experience in the industry that you're working in? Is it something that's relatively new? I remember when Periscope came out and nobody really knew how to use it, right? It was a bit weird. It was a bit wonderful. But you came across like 2 or 3 people who were using it, gaining followers successfully, monetizing it successfully. And they went out there and made an absolute killing because they had experience with the new platform. Recently, I saw Suzanne Dibble do this, and I thought it's a fantastic business model. We had the new GDPR regulations come in here in the UK. Okay, yes, GDPR drives me slightly nuts and still gives me palpitations every time I think about it. But Suzanne, as a qualified lawyer who specializes in working with entrepreneurs, knew that GDPR was going to be a big deal. So when the reality of it hit, when everyone started to panic about it, she created this super simple, easy to use pack that you can put into your business. It's basically plug and play, and you can be GDPR compliant with it. Now, there were tons of other people, including AppSumo, who put out GDPR compliance packs onto the market, who created checklists, all this kind of stuff. But the reason that I personally went and bought from Suzanne was not the price, was the fact that she had experience. She knew what she was talking about. She was a safe pair of hands. She had other clients that were really, really happy with it. So when you're creating a premium service, don't think it's just about price. Think about the delivery of it. Do you have the experience to be delivering it? Do you have the testimonials or the case studies to back it up? And then finally, we have to start talking about transformation. So I see this a lot, and I see it a lot in the online space, and it's something that drives me simultaneously nuts, but also makes me quite proud to be an online entrepreneur. When we hear this, charge what you're worth. And I feel like it's a double-edged sword, because the reality is what you are worth has zero reflection on what you're currently offering. It's all about the transformation. And the reality is that if somebody goes ahead and they buy my book, for example, which currently retails at $9.99 on Amazon, if they actually put every single piece into practice, like every single piece, and they were consistent with the actions that they took, they could have a 6-figure, 7-figure, however many figure business that they wanted within a really, really short time frame. However, the reality is that just because the information contained in that book is incredibly good, and yes, I'm totally pimping my own book here. Definitely go buy it if you haven't already. Smart Leader Sell on Amazon. Honestly, it's everything that you need to know about sales basics, launching, biopsychology, all the stuff that will make you money. But implementation-wise, it's really, really difficult for people to stay motivated. It's really, really difficult to expect people to be so self-motivated that they're going to get all of the results that they could get if they had accountability, if they had help and support on their own. And the reason for that is that, ultimately a book can only give you so much. It can only give you information. It can only give you some kind of implementation support, and it can tell you how to make the plans, but it can't pop up every day in your inbox and be like, hey, did you do that thing today? You can escape a book. And that's why the transformation that's generally contained in things like ebooks, print books, in terms of mini courses, anything that you can walk away from is low. And it's not because your content's not good. It's because people generally require motivation, accountability, and support when they're moving through to make some kind of transformational shift in their life. So we can't expect them to get that necessarily from something, like I say, that isn't jumping into their inbox every 5 minutes. Now, that means that when we're looking at creating a premium product or service, we have to look at transformation as being the key element of what we're charging for. So when we're looking at pricing our premium product or service, or whether indeed we are selling something that's a premium product or service, we're not basing it purely on the information that our course, program, done for you, done with you service is containing. We're basing it on the real transformation that they're actually getting. Are we relying on the client to be hugely self-motivated and go away and do everything themselves without any kind of backup support or troubleshooting? Or are we there in a support role as and when they need? Are we having regular check-ins with them? Are we having regular calls with them? Are we doing everything that we can to make sure that they are motivated, supported, kept accountable, that they're implementing the things that they should be, that they're executing the plans that they said that they would, to help them get the result that they say that they want? Okay. Now, this is always an interesting one, because people will always say, yeah, but Jess, I've got a client who, they just won't do the work. And in all honesty, we've all had those clients. I've had clients who've been absolutely amazing, who have gone on to take a different program and just been completely not self-motivated. They found it a real struggle. And that happens. It depends on where that person is in their life. It depends on what's going on with them right now. It depends on how they feel about things. Lots and lots and lots of different bits and bobs going on. Okay. However, we also have to look at the reality of premium services and what exactly we are providing when it comes to a premium service, which is ultimately this idea of accountability, implementation, execution, motivation. And so when we're looking at premium products and premium services, it's not just about bunging a big price tag on something and saying, well, I'm charging what I'm worth, because the reality is that the 15-minute free laser sessions that Dotties get with me every quarter are worth a hell of a lot more than the $47 a month that they pay to be in the Dotties. However, it's not a premium service because it's something that I want to do only within my membership. It's something that I do as a one-off every quarter. It's something that are just quick, tailored laser sessions. There is no further accountability calls or implementation plans or anything like that from those calls. The Dotties themselves, the people who are on the calls, have to be self-motivated enough to go and make the plan work. However, if somebody's working one-to-one with me, if they're doing an intensive, for example, they're spending an entire day having me help them implement new sales funnels, having me write out new copy for them, having me go through their email marketing sequence. And then for 30 days afterwards, they've got access to me via Voxer or via email so that they can check through new ideas, so they can get help with social media posts, so they can ask for advice on what they should put on their website, how to deal with this particular client, how to make this particular sale. It's a very, very different experience. And it's not just because one of them's held in a nice hotel and the other one is held on Zoom. So I want you to start thinking about this when it comes to your premium offers. How are you more convenient than your competitors, or are you more convenient? Is that your reason that your premium offer is premium? Is it convenience? Is it easier, quicker, closer than your competitors? Is it experience? Do you have more experience in the area? Have you put the reps in? Do you have great testimonials, client results, case studies? Anything like that that positions you as a premium choice because of your experience. And then thirdly, it's about transformation. Okay, look at the transformation they're getting. Are you expecting them to be relatively self-motivated, go out there, make it happen themselves? Or are you providing a transformational experience in that you're helping them with implementation, you're helping them with accountability, you're helping them to stay motivated and giving them the support and the troubleshooting that they need at any one time? I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure that you head over to iTunes, that you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss another one. As always, if you have any ideas for new episodes or there's anything you particularly like to hear about, give me a shout. Email me, jessica@jessicalorimer.com. I'm always more than happy to hear new podcast ideas. It takes the pressure off my brain for a little bit. Otherwise, I just wander around car parks indefinitely. And we have got some exciting stuff coming up with the podcast over the next couple of weeks. And I really, really could do with your help. There will be more to come on that later. But for the next couple of weeks, just keep your eyes and your ears out when it comes to the podcast, because there will be some things that are changing for the better. And there are a couple of things that I really want to hit as a personal goal as well, and run some experiments with what we're doing here on the Smart Leaders Sell podcast. So if you do like the podcast, make sure you keep your BDs out, watch what's happening, watch what's changing, and obviously then expect a full episode on the results of that experiment to come shortly as well. I hope you have an amazing week. If there is anything you need from me, head over to my free Facebook community. The link is in the show notes. Ask me any questions that you have on the podcast episode, any queries that you've got around creating a premium service, and I will see you in Friday's training.